update on the Moreno Valley area, but we have been monitoring Rivco alerts, and they tell us that they have opened up a reception welcome center in the Banning area, and they have also had have deep concerns about the burn scar areas of the El Dorado and also Fairview fires, and they have issued an evacuation order for those areas. They did that earlier today, but still they are telling people that they should sign up for Rivco alerts. Those are alerts from the Riverside County Emergency Management Department. That is how they're trying to notify people of any potential dangers. They will actually send an alert to your phone. And one more thing I should mention, on our way out here from West LA, just driving on the 10 freeway and then later the 60 freeway, we saw quite a bit of accidents. There's pooling even on the freeways of water, and people are spinning out. So very dangerous conditions, treacherous conditions on the roadways. And again, we are monitoring the situation out here. Hopefully we don't see anything worse than this, but if anything changes, we will certainly let you know. For now, though, I'm live in Moreno Valley. Let's send it back to you.
Christy, I'm curious what the traffic was like as you drove. Were people heeding that warning to stay home, or were there a lot of folks out?
It was lighter than you would usually expect for a Sunday, but certainly there were still a lot of people out. And as I mentioned, we saw several traffic accidents.
Yeah. Not a surprise, given the conditions out there. All right, you stay safe. We will check in with you as needed.
Meanwhile, Skyfox over the LA River in Reseda. All that rain has filled up the river basin, has affected some homeless encampments in the area. You can see all the debris is now on the banks of the river. LA County Fire has already had to do some swift water rescues when they were able to fly, but you know, sometimes it's not safe for helicopters to be up, including Skyfox, that sort of touch and go throughout the evening.
Hal Eisner has been out and about all day checking out the impact of the storm.
He's live in Sunland. Hal.
Yeah, I want to pick up a little bit on what Christy was saying. Take a look over my shoulder, and you can see how the water has pooled right into this street. Look at that right there. I mean, this is dangerous stuff. You got to be really careful when you're out there. But there are a lot of impacts coming from this storm, and we saw some of them earlier today. Whether it was a splash of street flooding, the sound of rain, or the roar of the LA River, Hilary, once a powerful hurricane, now a tropical storm, was knocking on our door. And not everyone was, as the mayor had asked, hunkering down.
You don't usually see the river like this, so it's, something we wanted to check out.
But check this out. Even some of the wind and rain before the main storm was proving to be problematic for some people. In Glendale, power was out for hours from a downed tree. So you're sitting out here because there's no power inside?
There's no power since 8 o'clock this morning.
How have you been dealing with it?
Honestly, just sitting and cleaning house. I'm good.
Not far away, this Trader Joe's was pitch black and turning customers away. In Sunland, roads flooded like so many other areas. And in North Hollywood, buses were bringing the homeless to a recreation center, one of several, to help those without shelters. Animal control even brought crates for any of the homeless who might bring their pets. And this man, his name is Mike.
You knew that this tropical storm was coming.
But he had a plan.
Yes. And what were you thinking you were going to do?
Initially, my plan was to set up my small tent on a picnic table that's under a sunshade so that I'd be above any flooding that may come up.
But he says he's grateful there was a shelter provided. You've got to be so careful. This water is really rising, and the problem with this water is that you could hydroplane so easily. You could get yourself into a terrible wreck. The bottom line is be careful out here. As the rain continues to fall, situations will continue to get more and more dangerous. Elex, Marla, back to you.
That's why it's very important to heed the warning or the directive of turn around, don't drown, because that can easily happen. Okay, Hal, you stay safe. Thanks so much.
Right.
Taking a live look right now at LAX. So far, 80 flights have been canceled. Over 300 have been delayed. Officials at LAX, Hollywood, Burbank, Long Beach, and Orange County's John Wayne Airport are all advising travelers to check with their airlines, of course, for possible flight delays or cancellations. At Ontario International Airport, it's a similar story. More than 65 flights were canceled, just over a dozen delayed. Southwest and Frontier have canceled their operations for the rest of the day, in fact.
So if that wasn't enough news for one day, we also had an earthquake in Southern California today. Did you feel it? All of this happening in the midst of this unprecedented tropical storm.
The 5.1 magnitude shaker was centered right near Ojai. Fox 11's Susan Harrisuna joining us now with more. Susan.
Well, Marla and Elex, Dr. Lucy Jones tells us that the Earth started moving yesterday with smaller shakers. Right now, she and her team at the Dr. Lucy Jones Center for Science and Society can only theorize what fault is responsible for the quake. She says that that area has quite the network of active faults. She suspects the San Cayetano fault.
It's capable of quite large earthquakes, and it seems to be the most likely association. The movement during the earthquake was what's called a thrust movement, with one side up and over the other. That's consistent with the San Cayetano fault.
All right, so this is what the shaker looked like in a home near the epicenter of Ojai. Pendant lights shaking from side to side. The shaking continued for several seconds there. Santa Clarita resident Joe Finfera described the quake this way.
It wasn't a up and down. It was a kind of a side to side thing. So I kind of felt a little bit of like a vibration, and I felt that feeling before. And I looked at my closet, and my clothes were kind of, doing this. So it was kind of a side to side thing. I've experienced.
Well, Finfera says he got notice of the earthquake after the shaking stopped. And if you think there is a connection between the storm and the shaker, Dr. Lucy Jones once again had to answer that question. She had a little smile on her face when she answered, the weather doesn't have anything to do with earthquakes.
All right, Susan, a lot for people to take care of today.
Yeah.
Joining us now on the phone is Alita Parrish. She spoke with us a little bit earlier on today, right after this earthquake. She lives in Ojai.
She's a business owner there.
Yep.
Yep. She has a shop there called Serenity Rocks Ojai, where she sells crystals. Many aftershocks. What have you felt, Alita?
Yes, another aftershock just happened about 5 or 6 minutes ago. So I keep running outside because, it's scary. But, yeah, there's quite a few aftershocks that have happened.
And are you still in your crystals shop? And are the crystals still okay?
No.
No.
Oh, no. I was too frightened to be in there, especially the aftershocks. So I quickly closed my doors and left for home to see what was awaiting me there.
Of course, not to frighten you at all, but of course there is, whenever there's an earthquake, there's a 95% chance that that quake is the biggest quake. There's about a 5% chance that that was that there will be a bigger quake to come. That percentage goes down as we go more. So let's hope this wasn't a sort of a foreshock. Anyway, big picture though, how are you processing all of this crazy day?
I feel like I'm in a bit of a shock too. I feel kind of sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
It was so jolting that it was just so scary. And so people have been calling, and I've been dealing with stuff, and it's just, I don't know, I need to relax and calm down, actually.
But when you did return home, your home is okay?
I did return home. My cat was pretty freaked out. Again, I had some broken things all over the floor. And I've talked to friends here as well. They have lots of broken items, and they're cleaning up now. But I haven't had time to explore too much. I'm just actually outside and walking towards the downtown area of Ojai just to kind of see what's going on.
Yeah.
But there is, there's traffic moving. The market is open, so it's flooded with people.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just don't know about any other damage yet.
Okay. Well, ultimately, LAFD did an assessment, and they say there's no major damage and no injuries in Ojai specifically. So that is great news. We're sorry about your rattled nerves for you and your cat. Please stay safe as you venture out today, okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. We want to go back now to the press conference that's happening. This is Governor Newsom now answering questions.
To the emergency dock. So we've got 12 counties that are under our pre-positioning framework as it relates to the National Guard. They've been distributed in those pre-positioned areas as early as yesterday, where the bulk were deployed, and additional resources this morning.
Christine Devine.
Thank you. For both the governor and Mayor Bass, what are your biggest concerns at the moment right now?
Well, my biggest concerns is that we haven't seen the strength of the rain just yet. We know that it could get much worse. And people might feel a little okay because it hasn't been that bad. So my biggest concern is that people will be a little dismissive and go out when we need people to stay at home, to stay safe, to make sure that their devices are charged, that they have flashlights, and that they prepare for the evening. We don't know what the rest of the day will bring.
Well, I just want to amplify what the mayor's saying. She's absolutely right, and that's why I highlighted that example down at Palm Springs City Hall, where there was no rain in sight, and within an hour, they had record-breaking rain over the course of that hour and flooding. That's why we've sent out over 300,000 sandbags throughout the region. It's the #1 request in terms of our mutual aid system, the sandbags. But that fundamental issue around people just saying, no, we got this. I can assure you, having traveled the state, the microclimates, I mean, every 10 minutes of that drive is a completely different experience. Those rain, not just whipping up, but that wind. The wind has not yet arrived, and that's coming right behind.
And a quick follow-up question, if it's okay. I know we're at level 2 currently here at the EOC. What would be grounds to raise it to level 1?
I'll ask our incident commander to answer that.
So just to be clear, the current situation, we are comfortable where we are with a level 2. Now, level 1, if anything goes beyond our scope and complexity of what's happening now, we are going to lean forward and pull additional resources in the city. We would implement a level 1 at that moment. So it's just beyond, if things get worse and we go beyond that capacity, that's when we would go to level 1.
Up here in front of the red, Mayor Bass, Salvador Duran with the Innovation Network. As you're executing this massive emergency plan for an unprecedented event, can you talk about some of the challenges that you're facing as we move forward with the plan?
Well, fortunately, because we were well prepared, because of the leadership from Chief Crowley, we started preparations a couple of days ago. But having said that, my biggest concern is Angelenos just not being accustomed to this type of weather event. And so I do believe we have everything in place now. Now it's a question of making sure that people are listening and that they're following through. So I feel good about where we are. We just need to continue in this direction. And Chief, I don't know if there's anything that you would like to add to that.
I believe the greatest concern at this point is, again, we want to stress the facts that right now, up until another 5 to 6 hours, could be the worst weather that we're going to see. So that posture that we have to take from the city perspective, from the region, from the state, is continue to lean forward to make sure we're providing the services. But on top of that, if things do get worse, at that point, making sure that we're utilizing all of our resources appropriately and the